is Caroline. I am a lecturer in nuclear physics at a UK university. I'm also the admissions tutor for the physics department. This is my little home on YouTube, Charming Quarks. Every Monday I put up a video, a vlog I guess, so about science, student issues, teaching, my job as a lecturer, and every Thursday I put up a short fun science story. So if you fancy joining in with our science group, please do hit subscribe. It would be great to have you join our team, and let's get into this week's vlog. This is now week 3 of lockdown in the UK. I'm very lucky, I'm a lecturer at a university and actually I can do a lot of work from home. Thank you to the amazing key workers who are out there working tirelessly to help keep us all safe as we go through this really difficult and horrible and sad period. But yeah, as I said, I'm a lecturer, so I'm quite lucky. I'm able to do a lot of my work from home still. I can't get into my research laboratories and neither can my students, quite rightly. So we're all staying away from the university at the moment and trying to stay in our own homes. My students are being amazing, so I have regular video calls with them. We chat about the research, they're analysing their data, they're doing some really interesting algorithm-based work. So they're all being really productive. I'm able to get on with writing up some papers that I've been meaning to write for a while, and also as a university of course we're reflecting and changing and altering our assessments in order to be able to match this kind of evolving situation. We don't want large groups of students gathering together in an examination hall, and that means our assessments will be changing. Depending on which university you're at, whether you're at university or college, I suspect your assessments will also be changing if you're a student. If you're a lecturer, perhaps you're having to rewrite your assessments or plan how you're going to do the examination differently. And I thought that was something we could chat about in today's video. How to prepare for an open book examination. So an open book examination is one where you're allowed to take textbooks or resources into the exam or wherever you're going to take the assessment and use them during that assessment. And so I guess I'm a nuclear physicist, so if I was going to do a nuclear physics open book exam, now I'd hasten to add that I don't have a course this semester that has an exam at the end. I taught a lecture course last semester that had an examination at the end. My teaching this term is laboratory-based teaching, but let's just say I was planning to get ready for a nuclear physics-based open book exam. Here are some of the books that I might be interested in taking in with me. I've got Electronic and Nuclear Physics, I've got one book on nuclear physics, I've got another book on introductory nuclear physics, and of course, as all good scientists, I've got the Feynman lecture series. Now, the first problem is that's quite a lot of textbooks. So it might be difficult in an examination to know which one of these to go and look up and answer to a question. Just because you've got all the resources with you doesn't make it necessarily easier or quicker to find the information unless you do a bit of prep work in advance. So for me, realistically, if I was going to take a nuclear physics exam and I was allowed to have a book, if the university said you could have any book that you wanted, I would probably get rid of most of these, maybe keep them on the floor if I'm taking the examination, but actually on the desk space where I'm sitting my paper or taking my test, I'd probably down select to 1, maybe 2 key textbooks that I think I'm going to be able to find the key information in. And then the next thing I would do is I would think about how I would prepare the book to allow me to access the information really quickly. Because don't forget, you're taking this test or this assessment, and it can be quite stressful taking an exam, and you want to make it as easy as possible to be able to find the key information in your book or your resource. So when I took my English Literature GCSE many years ago, we were allowed to take our book in with us, so we read Of Mice and Men by John Steinbeck, and I loved these. So these are just plastic dividers, you can use anything, bits of paper, stick them into your book if you're allowed to, and these would divide up the sections in the book, so you can either use them to mark chapters or to pick out where key equations are or key theories are, and it just makes it really easy to flick to the key bits of information. And then inside the book, if you're allowed to write in it, or you can write in your book if you're allowed to, I redid the contents page on a front blank page. So yes, this will come with a very in-depth contents page, but what I would do is I'd have a look at the lecture, I'd look at the lecture course notes, and I'd see which were the key theories and ideas and concepts, and then I would work out where they appear in this textbook, and I'd make my own contents page at the front that would say, if you're looking for this particular thing, go to chapter 2. If you're looking for this particular idea, go to chapter 3. And it just makes it easier for you to navigate around your textbook. You need to check your university or your school regulations as to what you can and can't have in an open book exam. So you might be allowed to have a summary sheet of equations. That can be really useful. Saves you kind of worrying about finding equations within the book. Again, you can go through your lecture course notes. You can pull out the key equations, symbols, parameters. You can note down what units are used in particular equations. And if you bring that all together onto a piece of A4 paper ideally, then you've got it all nice and neatly and ready to hand. So yeah, I just ran out of camera battery. I've charged my camera up a tiny bit, so I'm not quite sure how much longer I'm going to get, but it's a really nice lead into the next part of the conversation, is preparation and to make sure you're ready for your open book assessment. So my tip here is, even though you might be doing this assessment at home, I would still prepare for it as if you were going into an examination hall. So collect together your calculator, your pens. If you want to take in a bottle of water, are you allowed to have a kind of fruit with you? Can you have some fizzy sweets or some sugary sweets to kind of get you through with an energy burst halfway through? Do you not want to have any distractions, so no food at all on the table? So get all your belongings together. And then think about where you're actually going to sit the assessment. So we're on lockdown in the UK, which means your options will probably be quite limited. You may be fortunate to have a nice desk you can sit at, or maybe you might need to make kind of a temporary arrangement in the corner of a room, or ask your housemates or friends or family if you can use maybe a dining table in order to take your test. Think about how you want to lay out your environment. If your desk is next to a window like mine is, you might need to shut the curtains in order to get some shade so you haven't got a headache halfway through your exam. You might want to be careful about how much you actually put on your desk. So if you've got a small desk, you may want to only have a few things on it, and maybe you chuck your spare books that you might want to use on the floor next to you. So yes, think about being prepared, and don't do what I did and not have your calculator having batteries in it. Another thing to think about is how you're actually going to revise and practice for the test. So with an open book assessment, I would still really recommend going through tutorial questions, go through past exam papers. It'll help you get a feel for the type of exam question you might be facing. I try to do past papers as if I was doing the exam, so I'll take it without any notes or course books around me, and then I'll look up the sections where I felt I couldn't give a good answer, or I think my answer was wrong, to help kind of develop my understanding and knowledge of that subject. And that, I think, is still a good tip, even if you're going to do it with the textbooks around you. If you feel comfortable that you know the ideas or the concepts, you won't have to go to the books maybe quite as many times, and that gives you some more time to actually write your answers in the exam. And I guess finally, taking an exam or an assessment, they are stressful. You're going to feel potentially anxious beforehand. Even if you've revised really hard, you might still feel concerned or worried. And right now, the world is an anxious place. It's a stressful world situation. We are fighting off this disease, COVID-19. And so just bear that in mind as you're going into that examination. Try to give yourself the best possible chance of feeling calm and relaxed if you can. Maybe don't check the news just before you go and take your test. Instead, maybe listen to relaxing music, or if you can, go outside, get a little bit of fresh air in your back garden if you're allowed to. And yeah, just take that little bit of time to look after yourself. I think I said a couple of weeks ago about being kind to yourself, and this really matters around this kind of period when you're trying to take a university assessment in this situation. And don't forget, if something's happened, so if an external situation or a family member or just anything has happened, you can contact your university, your tutor. There'll be a welfare centre if you're at university, a wellbeing champion. We have this thing called extenuating circumstances where you can apply for the university to consider to allow you to take your exam at a later date or to delay your assessment. So don't sit at home thinking, oh my goodness, I've got to do this test. If something has happened, reach out to somebody, contact somebody at the university, contact somebody at your school or college, and they'll help explain to you actually what the options are to help you get through that period ahead of you. Because yes, assessments and exams are important, but actually the really important is your well-being and looking after yourself through this challenging period. Well, I guess I've spoken quite a bit then about open book examinations. I probably should stop before my camera runs out of battery again. Thank you very much for tuning in. I hope some of them were useful helps and tips. Don't forget to check in with your university or college or your school to see what their rules and regulations are and to how they are looking to do any assessments or examinations that you have coming up. Keep in contact with your course tutors, reach out to your classmates, your course mates. Make sure you feel as comfortable and prepared as you can before tackling any assessment, and mainly look after yourself over the next few weeks ahead. If you fancy doing something fun, last week I posted up a lecturer workout video. I'll put the link above if you want to go and do 10 minutes worth of fun working out. And if you fancy a science story, then tune in this Thursday at 10 o'clock as I'll be posting a story about something we're working on in our research labs at the university. So have a lovely week, stay safe, look after yourself,